So let's now, because I want to make sure that we cover all the topics that we have to cover. One of the things that you're doing by way of your book is you're trying to help some charities.
Yes, we're donating 10% of all book proceeds revenues to charity.
Okay. So what are the charities and why are they special to you?
Okay, there's 3 charities involved. The first one is Hurricane Sandy Relief, which is near and dear to everybody in the New York, New Jersey area's heart. And that's, I think that goes without explanation why that would be one. The second one is the Celiac Disease Foundation, and the third is what's called the CARES Foundation. Celiac Disease Foundation was an easy one too because I suffer from celiac disease.
What is, for the people who don't know, what is that disease?
It's an intolerance to gluten. And gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, oats, and rye. And if I or someone else with celiac disease eats something with wheat, barley, oats, well, some oats or rye, it affects our bodies in adverse ways. And I was diagnosed officially with this about 6.5 years ago. 2 of my children suffer from it. And it's a very
taxing.
If you eat the wrong food, it's very taxing on you. The word I was actually looking for is underfunded.
Okay.
For research purposes.
Yeah.
It's becoming, gluten-free is becoming in vogue now. You hear the words gluten-free thrown about a lot now. And if you go to the store, there's gluten-free aisles, and there's all this gluten-free food, and people are going gluten-free, and people like Miley Cyrus are going to go gluten-free because they'll feel better. But when we first diagnosed, again, 6.5 years ago, there was very few products to buy. So, for example, to make bread, now you can buy. There's great bagels, there's great bread. Back then, my wife was making bread for us, and she'd have to buy like 6 different flours, none of which were wheat, obviously.
Well, you use like rice flour?
Rice flour, garbanzo bean flour, xanthan gum. She would use tapioca flour or starch, all these different things to try to put together and hold together in an attempt to make bread that would last like a day and would then fall apart. Now, the technology or whatever they've been doing is so much better. They can make it, and it's much better now. But that, I'm told they're working on a pill. The gluten pill, just like a lactose intolerant pill, I guess. Yeah. And we'll see if that happens. I think I heard by 2020-something, they should have a pill.
Now, what's kind of interesting is this question. I don't know if you know the answer, because I know you're not an expert in this. But to what extent has the genetically modified wheat out there become a problem? Because the wheat has been genetically engineered to grow faster. It's shorter. You know, like the pictures that you see in the old Midwest with the waves of the wheat fields. Well, that's all been sort of modified so that they're fast growing. They grow probably faster without as much water, and they seem to be more spikier. Like they actually seem to be more harsher. To what extent is that a problem for human consumption? Because the wheat we were designed to eat is no longer the wheat we actually do eat.
It seems to be a problem. The proverbial we, or the proverbial they, of pundits say that any woman over the age of 40 should eat gluten-free. And part of it is because of that. There was a study at some point also of Korean people, I believe it was, that were all suffering from it because back in Korea, wheat's not part of the diet. So they come here, they start eating it, and all of a sudden they're all sick. So I think part of it is the genetically engineered, and that's with a lot of different things too. I mean, you'll hear the conspiracy theorists talk about the milk cartons and how the milk containers are bad and this and that. And so you could probably point to almost any food you're going to eat and say that, but I think that the wheat, to a lot of people, is a big problem. Absolutely.
Okay, and then let's talk about the Hurricane Sandy Foundation.
That, and I haven't even identified the specific Hurricane Sandy relief. I mean, it might be a specific town at that point when I actually have a bundle of money to give, hopefully, if enough books sell. Hurricane Sandy was just an unprecedented event, as we all know, that really devastated a large part of New York and New Jersey, and especially the Jersey Shore. And for any of us who grew up down by the Jersey Shore, and I grew up in Old Bridge, which was like 20 minutes away, and we'd go there. We'd skip school in high school and go down to the shore and
allegedly skip school.
You know, some schools had sick days. We had beach days. That's just the way that it worked out.
You know, in snow country, it's like, oh, there's a powder day.
Right, exactly. So we would go down there, and the whole idea of the Seaside Heights boardwalk being gone is crazy.
Paul and I,
Midway Steakhouse with the cheesesteak. That was our pre-cholesterol days.
we love going to Seaside Heights. We'd
Meet
go
us
to,
at Lucky Leo's.
we would go to what was it, Rainbow Rapid, whatever it was. There was like the water slide or the
water slide
thing.
The place with the hot with the sausages. The shoot
the Midway
star
Steakhouse.
out.
Oh yeah, I love that. Shoot the star out. There was the thing with the wheel, and then you'd have to pick, and then if you won a vinyl record.
Or the mirrors. Remember, the mirrors were very big with
Yeah.
the band names and the Heineken mirrors and all
Exactly.
the beer
Yeah,
ones.
I actually have one that someone gave me for the Grateful Dead.
There you go.
We won from Lucky Leo's at Billy Joel 8-track glass houses when it first came out.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah. Very cutting edge 8 tracks. That's nice.
Believe it or not, we actually have a Radio Shack 8-track player in the office, and we actually
still works.
and we have some 8 tracks that still work.
I had a recordable 8-track player when I was growing up. That was very
Wow,
swanky.
that you know what? That's off the charts wild because I never saw an 8-track. Oh wait, you know what? We must have had something that we could have recorded on because I made a mixtape on
No,
8-track.
ours records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I had one of those when I was younger, too.
And it's kind of funny. No one realizes, but especially younger people. But when you play a song, and in the middle of the song, it would be like, and then
Fades out, it clicks, and then it fades back in. Exactly.
So it was like, who are you? Who?
Right, exactly.
Okay, there's 45 minutes past the hour. Is Richard Solomon taking care of business? We are rocking through an hour of radio here on 88.1 FM WCWP. You can catch us at wcwp.org, tcbradio.com. You can catch us on our YouTube channel. We are on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff, all the social media. Joining everybody in the 21st century. We are with Andrew Wolfenson, who wrote a really great fiction book. Just make sure we got the word fiction in
Yes,
there.
thank you. Make sure you clarify that.
In his own defense, about a guy named Goldberg who kind of gets a little jammed up. And what's interesting is a law personality being written by a lawyer always has special insights. It's definitely a different perspective than just the Hollywood people who just write about the legal profession, stuff like that. So you got to check that out. He has a practice in New Jersey that focuses on divorce, bankruptcy, and litigation. And you can reach him at 908-686-7230. His book is inhisown.defense.com. If you want to catch an email, it's info@inhisown.defense.com. Say that right that time. I know that you're going to be doing a number of different things in the media and book signings to support. Where do you go, and what's on the general horizon?
I have several book signings scheduled for the next month or so, between February 28th of 2013 and March 16th of 2013.
So when you're listening to this in later years, when we rebroadcast this, you missed the boat.
Exactly. There are
but there are other. But where do you go to find this on the website?
On the website, inhisown.defense.com, there is a page labeled Media Appearances, which includes this radio show as well.
All right. Woo!
And
Wow.
the various book signings that I will be doing. And I forgot one of the charities before to clarify. If
Oh,
I could just go
we
into
still have
that.
time. Yeah.
Okay. CARES Foundation, and you asked before why it's special, all the ones. The CARES Foundation is a foundation devoted to research for what's called congenital adrenal hyperplasia, which is a genetic disease that affects many different types of people and can really cause various problems. Much like celiac disease, it can cause some insidious problems you wouldn't even know about long term. And the reason I chose that one is because their headquarters is in the same building as my office in Union.
Oh, that's great.
And it's run by some lovely women who I see every day and who really work very hard to raise money for this charity. And I thought that it was certainly a worthwhile cause as well.
Are they too underfunded?
I'm sure they are. They don't say that to me, but no doubt they are underfunded.
Yeah, and it's a shame because the truth is there's a lot of very worthwhile charities out there, and a lot of them really do need help.
Absolutely. And because the government resources are strapped in that respect, not in others perhaps, but in that one they are, we have to do what we can to help out with those things. So it's important to not just give money, but also to get the word out. So I thank you for allowing me to speak about this and the CARES Foundation and the Celiac Disease Foundation on the show today.
Do they have any particular websites that...
They do, and I believe they're both very literal. I think it's celiac.org for the Celiac Disease Foundation.
And that's
How do you spell it?
CELIAC.org.
And the CARES Foundation, I believe, is caresfoundation.org as well. So it's
you
very
go.
literal.
So if you're out there listening, check them out. And obviously, even if you just help spread the word to other people, and also awareness is important. I'm sure there are many people out there who are undiagnosed with celiac disease, for example.
They say, again, the proverbial they, that 1 out of every 133 people have celiac disease.
Wow.
And of that amount, only like 5% even know.
What are the symptoms like when people are first investigating? I mean, be gentle, but
We'll have to be very gentle. There are numerous symptoms, and that's the other thing. It's not just one thing. Oftentimes it involves gastrointestinal difficulties of various types, which is the main way to really talk about it.
Okay.
And so
I mean,
it's
this
an intestinal disease, so
yeah.
it's an intestinal difficulty, and it manifests in different ways intestinally.
Over time, what could the disease do if it's not prevented, or at least a diet that maintains the status quo?
I don't know if they even know everything that can happen. I believe that it could lead to cancer. It could lead to various problems that may be linked, officially to it, may not be linked officially to it, but it causes damage in your body, because what happens is you're not processing vitamins properly, because essentially your body fights the gluten and it doesn't process it. So even if you're eating something, so if you're having a sandwich, I don't know what kind of sandwich on white bread is healthy, but let's assume you're eating a wheat bread sandwich and it's something healthy on the wheat bread, you're not going to process the vitamins and minerals from that sandwich, because it's really not, your body's attacking the wheat part of it and therefore not sucking in the vitamins. It's passing basically through you.
I think I read somewhere that in the intestinal tract, it's like this is the spot where vitamin B gets absorbed, and this is the spot where vitamin D gets absorbed. And it's actually interesting because they're learning more about, in the old days it was sort of like, food went in and you absorbed, quote, vitamins, but apparently there are different spots where different vitamins are actually absorbed, from what I understand.
Yeah, it is. And celiac disease is a 2-part test to see if you have it. The first one is a blood test, and if you show a certain antibody in an elevated level, it's suspicious that you have it. But then they do an endoscopy, and what they do is they take a scraping from the upper part of your intestines. And if the villi, which are the finger-like material in your intestines that take the vitamins, are flattened out, boom, celiac disease. So it starts from the very top where they take in, say, vitamin B or whatever vitamins, and all the way down. So the vitamins are not being absorbed as the food passes through.
What's truly amazing is that there are so many things that are out there that people aren't given enough education on, and things like that really need to be given, more attention.
And that's a tough one. And I can't speak for now, but back when I was diagnosed years ago, a lot of people were misdiagnosed as having, say, Crohn's disease or irritable bowel syndrome, when in fact it was celiac disease. And doctors just didn't have it on their radar to even test for it. In fact, when I was tested, the doctor ordered the wrong test.
Wow. We actually had a very interesting show that we did on Lyme disease, where we had a woman who, an attorney, who suffered from Lyme disease, and it was undiagnosed, even though she went to a number of different doctors.
I had a closing with her, and then I remember she said, okay, bank attorney, off to her honeymoon, and then I never heard from her. And coming out something in the sand in Mexico bit her.
Wow. And I have almost the opposite one, where I did a closing once, and it was just one of those really, really annoying closings. And the seller was an older woman who was, I think, in Pennsylvania. And the attorney was giving me just hell about having her come in. And he says to me, she can't come in the car for that long. And I said, what do you mean she can't be in the car for that long? And he says to me, she can't be in the car for more than 5 minutes at a time because she has to use the bathroom because she's got celiac disease. And I said, first of all, it's celiac disease. I know that because I have it. Trust me. If she eats the right food, she can sit in the car for an hour. So guess who was in my office a week later doing the closing? But most people wouldn't have known the difference. They would have said, oh, I'm sorry, that's terrible. I knew better. I got lucky once in a while.
So as we're wrapping this up, did we not cover any topic that you want to make sure that we cover from the law, the book, special insights, anecdotes, shout-outs, anything of that level?
If I have to do shout-outs, because I probably should do that, I guess a shout-out to the designer of the book cover.
Okay, this is where fame and glory come in, so, don't hold back.
Diana Annie Stokely, who's based in Texas, actually, and who writes a blog on the same site that I do and had done some covers for some other writers that I mentioned that they had written before. And she did a fantastic job with the cover, and I think she made me look good in the back cover, so I should thank her for that as well.
Okay.